here. Oh, we've got 3. Welcome aboard. We'll get started in 6 minutes. I have all kinds of fun stuff today. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. This was a fun one to put together, a real fun one to get put together. You have to have a big Yeti to get you through the day. I carry 2. I have a coffee one. It's over on my desk. I had too much already. And then this is my lemon water. So I'll stay nice and fresh for the whole, the whole program today. And how fun. I should have had an April Fool's joke. My mother always pulled April Fool's jokes on everybody. And she would get me every year. She would catch me every year. And I'm almost embarrassed. I don't have an April Fool's joke for you. So, this opening day for baseball, official start of spring. I love it, love it, love it. Things are starting to get back to normal, aren't they? Okay. Watching the time. Oh, there's still a lot of time. Let me see how many people are here. Perfect. I'm setting up the sharing of the screen. There we go. Okay, this is the one. Perfect. Oh, I don't want to do that yet. No. So stop share. There we go. Okay, everybody. Every day, in every way, I learn something new about Zoom. Wow. It's really nice to be an old dog and to keep learning new tricks. You know what? And then if you don't learn something new every day, you might as well just dig that hole in the ground, jump in and throw all the dirt on top of you. You have to keep learning. You have to keep learning. And I do. I love it. I love learning new stuff every day. I would not have asked to learn Zoom. I would never have asked to learn how to do Zoom. But it's nice to know when you have to learn new things, you can do it. You can do it. So, okay. Seven people, welcome, welcome. You early birds, you're the early birds to the garden coach session. I have to thank all of you who are attending the garden coach so religiously, and then passing the word on to other people. The folks that are coming into the store and find me at the plant clinic desk, and we're really set up better this year than we were last year. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And so I'm back at my my diagnostic desk with my microscope, and then with Garden Coach going each week. I have a bookshelf directly behind where my microscope desk is, and that's where all the products that I talk about each week are highlighted. So you can come into the store and find them right there, and people are loving it. And guess who else? All of our staff is loving it, because they can go right there. They say, oh yeah, this is what Jennifer talked about during Garden Coach. And unfortunately, they don't get to watch it when we're doing it live because they're on the sales floor. So it's really been a nice, helpful kind of setup and a tool for everyone. And then you get a link to the handout each week where it highlights the topics I'm going to be addressing, plus all the products that I mentioned. So you can print this up and make notes on it, and then kind of to follow along. Boy, I have some cool stuff today. I really have some cool stuff today. And one of them is about the cicada situation and everything that's out in the press right now. My good friend Tracy Butler, the weather anchor from Channel 7 Morning News, the morning news and the 11 o'clock news, called me and said, oh my gosh, I'm getting so many questions about the cicadas, this brood 10 that's supposed to be here in Illinois. I'm going to show you the secret. I'm actually going to alleviate your fears about the cicada situation. How's that for a tease? Stay tuned for more. You can tell I've been on television too much. That's what we called a tease. So oh, and we're right there. We're right on time. So we've got, how many people do we have? We have 13 people. Ooh, that's my lucky number. Ooh, I love that. Okay. So welcome everyone. This is Garden Coach for April Fool's Day or April 1st. And I was chatting with the early people who have signed on about this is opening day for baseball. So this is the, kind of the unofficial start of spring. And so I know I'm going to be watching my favorite team. So today I'm gonna talk about things I've been seeing at the diagnostic desk and things you should be doing in your garden, going forward, and then some interesting questions that I've gotten from Tracy Butler, the weather anchor, the issue that she wanted me to address about all of the scare about the cicadas, and I'm going to alleviate your fears about the cicadas. You're going to love it. You're going to love it, and then we've got some weeds to talk about, and then things you should be doing in the garden like right now. Starting this weekend. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask you to put your questions in the Q&A area rather than the chat box. It's easier to take care of them. And then what I'll do is I'll go through the information and the PowerPoint. I got great photos. And then I'll answer all the questions afterwards. And this system has been working really well. So let me share the screen now. And here's sharing the screen. Oh, before we share the screen, I want to talk to you about, be sure you stop in frequently at Chalet. We've got a new buying team that is just phenomenal, and they're bringing new things in every day. And I come in and I feel like I'm at the candy store. As I was running through grabbing the weed killers that I'm going to be talking about, the weed killers, I noticed with our bulbs, our summer blooming bulbs, the potatoes, the onions, I talked about those last week. Look what else we got in. Rhubarb, strawberry rhubarb pie. Ooh, I love that. Okay, horseradish. These are the tubers for horseradish. And if you've never had homemade horseradish, try this. It's really fun in the garden. And then the ultimate spring vegetable, asparagus. I know I'm having asparagus with my lamb on Easter Sunday. So grow some of your own. And then this is the Mary Washington cultivar, which is delicious, absolutely delicious. So this isn't on the list because I just noticed it when I was walking through the store to come over here to get everything set up. I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to tell you about this. So here we go. I'm going to come back to, we've got 21. All right, I'm going to come back to sharing the screen. Here we go. Share the screen. Share. I'm learning. All right, and then this, here we go. And we're going to put this on, okay, where did that go? Here we go. Slideshow from the beginning. And voila. Ooh, there's too many of me on the screen. Let's move forward. Okay, the topics today, and welcome everybody if you're just signing in. And I'm going to go through the PowerPoint presentation with the topics and talk about the different products. And then I'll answer all the questions at the end. So the topics I'm going to cover are classic. This is the classic spring lawn care weekend. The first weekend of April is traditionally when we talk about doing spring lawn care. And I'm going to go through all those details now. And I'm so sorry, Easter Bunny, this is your weekend. I know. But rabbits are public enemy number one for our gardens. Absolutely. They do thousands and thousands of dollars worth of damage. So I'm going to talk about how you can prevent that damage and repel, keep the rabbits away from your garden. Now, the insects that are showing up that you need to be aware of and be prepared to protect your plants. Boxwood leaf miner, and then I've been getting samples of that in every day, and then there's worries, and rightfully so, worries about the viburnum leaf beetle, and I've got great slides so you'll understand what that is. And then the news is filled with the 17-year cicada scare tactics, and that's exactly what it is, scare tactics. So I've got great information for you. Weed control. One of the weeds that I've been getting photos of and samples of for the past 2 weeks, because it's an alien weed. That means it's not native to here. It's an alien weed that is showing up. It used to be called Ranunculus ficaria. They changed the name. The taxonomists reclassified it. I think it was just last year, and they've renamed it Ficaria nivis. And I found phenomenal research on how to get rid of it and how to effectively get rid of it. And I talked about it last week, but it's worth repeating, this week. And then weed prevention. The whole thing about gardening and starting out is prevent. You want to prevent weeds from germinating. You want to prevent fungus from starting, and you want to prevent, prevention is the key, and I'll talk about why that's important. And then now's the time to fertilize all the rest of your garden plants. So let's get going. Here we go. Okay, so now the spring lawn care, again, classic weekend. So number one, and I'm going to get more colorful photos in just a minute, but number one, you want to start with a fertilizer and your pre-emergent weed control. Most often people want to control crabgrass, and those are sunny areas of the lawn, but there's great products to use, and I'm going to show you the photos on these. And so, but what I want you to do first is put the fertilizer and the pre-emergent down. Do it this weekend. Then I like to tell people, because there's all the grass plants, they've turned green. Oh, and guess what, everybody? I always say that when you see the forsythia in bloom, that means it's time to fertilize your spring lawn. That means the soil temperatures are above 47. And guess what? When I was driving home last night, I saw forsythias in bloom. So the timing is perfect. I mean, it's absolutely perfect. Okay, so now you put the fertilizer down, water it in, fertilizer and pre-emergent, water it in. And the best one that I like to recommend is the Scots Triple Action for seed starting. There's also one called the Scots Step 1 for seeding. They redid it this year, and they call it the Scots Triple Action for seeding. And you want to get that down. And with this type of weed control, you water it in. And I thought we could time it just before there was going to be rain, but it doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of rain. So you want to try to water it in. You want to get the fertilizer and the mesotrione, which is the pre-emergent weed control, down into the soil. And then wait 2 weeks. So the grasses that are just waking up from winter, the step one, they turn green. Then step two, they start growing. Every one of those grass plants has the capacity of growing 3 inches in each direction. So I advise people to wait 2 weeks after you get that starter fertilizer and pre-emergent down, and then see how many of the bare areas have filled in. Then decide if you want to put more grass seed down. And the pre-emergent in the Scots Triple Action, or the Scots Step 1 for seeding, will not prevent grass seed from germinating. That's why it's the perfect product in the spring. Okay, and now the coincide timing is when the forsythia is in bloom. And so it was how fun that I saw some driving home last night. Okay. Oh, I have to tell you. All right, look at this. This is 20 years ago and 20 pounds ago for me. This, and look at our old logo. This is Bill Leuenberger, who founded and set up our soil and turf department for our landscape division. Bill and I used to always do the lawn care lectures together. In fact, that's how I started doing lectures here at Chalet before the owner asked me to set up the learning center. And so we would get together and talk. We would do a spring lawn care and and a fall lawn care lecture together. So he is the one that encouraged me to set up a calendar. And this is a calendar of all the chores you should do for your lawn by month. And we have copies of this that they're in the store. You can pick up a copy. I'm going to see if we can put this on our web pages so you can just download this. I'll ask Carly to do that for me. But Bill's the one that encouraged me to do that, and we've been working with this, ever since. So I give him total credit, and I miss him. He retired. He left me. Okay. Now, people always want to know how thick to spread your seed once you get the decision to reseed your bare areas. And on the back of our seed packages, we had this chart. See the little picture down on the left side with the circles, and that shows you the density to spread the seed. And so the far left one is too little, the far right one is too much, and right in the middle is just right. And I used to say, man, this looks just like the poppy seeds on my hot dog bun. I live on that's why I'm 20 pounds heavier than that other picture. But I love hot dogs over at Irving's. This is the owner of Irving's. This is Andy. And that was my jumbo hot dog that I'd ordered that day. And he let me go behind the counter to take pictures of the Rosen's buns. And look how I got the logo up for Rosen's Perfect. We sent this to Rosen's too. But if you go in to Irving's and say that you're getting a hot dog so that you can see the density to spread your grass seed, they might even give you some free French fries and say that Jennifer told you to do this. So when the Learning Center was open, I used to give coupons out to go get a free jumbo dog. Was that cool? So we're going to get back to that. We'll get back to that. Okay. Now, the most common question this time of year is, how can I fix my lawn? Now, this is not what the lawn looks like now. This is a photo of what the lawn looks like usually in July and August. If they've been getting it's called a patch disease. There's several patches. There's summer patch, there's round patch. And then there's also one called dollar spot that makes little silver dollar patches in the lawn. Okay, so to fix the lawn, what you want to do, and I'm going to repeat it again because I think everyone can hear this. You're going to use your Scots Triple Action for seeding, or your Scots Step 1 for seeding, and we say anywhere from now to April 15th. Perfect timing, absolute perfect timing. Okay, then wait 2 weeks for the grass plants to wake up and fill out, and then overseed the bare areas. Now, then the next thing you'll want to do is you'll do the early summer fertilizer, and that's in Memorial Day and before June 15th. And for the best fertilizing, and that goes with the calendar, you want to fertilize 4 times a year here in the Chicago area. And that means you do the first one, tax day, April 15. We used to always say Easter, but Easter moves around all the time. But this is appropriate, Easter, this weekend. And then the second one is Memorial Day. The third one is Labor Day. And the fourth one is Halloween. And you do that on those dates or within the following 2 weeks afterwards. And that gives you perfect timing to apply the fertilizer at the time when our cool season turf grasses are the most active and growing the most, and using the fertilizer. You'll notice that between Memorial Day and Labor Day, there's that big wide open summer. You really don't need to feed the lawn in the summer that much, because our cool season turf grasses, when the soil temperatures go above 75, go semi-dormant. The blades are still growing, but they're not actively growing and filling in. So now, this is one of the early season diseases, and this was a sample that came in 2 weeks ago, and I talked about it 2 weeks ago during the garden coach, but I wanted to bring this back. And it's called dollar spot, and the causal agent is sclerotinia, and I won't pronounce it. Well, it's homeocarpa, it's called dollar spot because it's a collection of silver dollar size, tan, brown, or white spots all over the lawn. And then this is the classic symptom. People bring samples in. This person brought in a sample, and thank goodness there was a green growing part that can show me the active disease. So if you ever bring a sample in to me, make sure that you have some green blades so I can put it in the microscope and see what is active, what is the active disease. And we call them hourglass lesions. The photo I kind of cut off, but it's kind of an hourglass, and you can see how the blade kind of sinks in, so it makes it look like an hourglass. And on the edges, they're kind of red-brown margins. And what contributes to this disease, and we saw a lot of it at the end of summer last summer. So this is probably a leftover from last end of summer, early fall diseases. But warm days and cool nights, and we've been having that. We had that wonderful warm up in the last 2 weeks, and then the nights were cool. Then prolonged leaf wetness. Whenever the nights are cool, the high dew points, the dew drops, and then those leaves stay wet overnight. All it takes is 4 hours of wetness, and then but what causes is dry soils and low nitrogen for fertility. So what's cool about dollar spot is that once the temperatures go up, it stops being active anymore. All of these diseases are very controlled by temperature. So the cool diseases are active when it's cool, warm diseases, hot diseases when it's hot, and that's soil temperature, as well as air temperatures. But what's nice is you can fertilize, and because dollar spot is only in the blade, it's not down in the crown or the roots, the grass plants grow it off because the center and down at the crown is where the new growth comes from the grass blade, and it pushes the blade up. That's where you can cut it off without damaging the plant, when you mow the lawn. So, so you can put the fertilizer down, and that helps the plant outgrow it. So dollar spots, I love dealing with dollar spot because it's pretty curable. Now, here's what's important. You want to prevent the grass diseases. And the best way to do that is to get systemic fungicides. They come in granular forms and liquid forms. I like the liquid the best because you get really good coverage, and you can spot treat areas. My favorite is Immunox, and then Infuse. And both of them now, it's interesting. The hose-in version of Immunox is propiconazole. Same with Infuse, and it lasts longer in the grass plants. It can last up to a month, which is really nice. The BioAdvance is myclobutanil, but they're all very, very effective. And because they're systemic, they stay in the blades of the grass even if it rains. So I love that. No reapplication after it rains. So what you're going to do is you're going to get this. Don't start spraying now. What you want to do is you're going to spray May 1st, May 15th, and then June 1st. And that's going to prevent the soil-borne diseases from inoculating the plants as they're waking up in the spring. And that will prevent them from having these diseases later in the summer. So prevention, prevention, prevention. I was joking with my staff saying it's like safe sex. You have to make sure you do preventative, because if you miss it once, you're in trouble. So do the prevention, and then the other thing, switch to an organically based fertilizer, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. If you switch to an organically based fertilizer, it's going to encourage the beneficial microbes in the soil, and they will outcompete the disease pathogens. Okay. Oh, I don't have the granular picture. I thought I did. I cleaned it up. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on. I'll answer your questions at the end. All right, this is public enemy number one for our gardens, and I apologize to the Easter Bunny, but I see all of the damage that these animals cause to our gardens, and I didn't get the photo in of someone that sent me a picture where the rabbits just rode the snow up and chewed off all of the bark of 5 apple trees. And then when the snow was up at 4 feet, they chewed the bark off the top, the lower branches on these trees. There were small trees, but and then when the snow melted back down, they chewed off the backside. The trees are gone. The trees are gone because if you chew the bark off, you get rid of the cambium, which is the vascular system of the plant. And you can see on the upper right, this is a serviceberry, and anything in the Rosaceae family or sweet bark. And oh my God, it's just like candy for rabbits. Look what they do to arborvitae. They turned them into lollipops, lollipop sticks. And then this is my own rose down here on the bottom one from several years ago. But they just chewed the rose, all complete. And you would think I would know better, wouldn't you? Wow. Okay. The best thing to use is plant skeed. And plant skeed is a blood-based product with porcine and bovine blood. It has been sterilized, so you don't have to worry about any blood-based diseases that could be passed on. And you spray it on the plants. Spray it on a day like today, and it dries for 24 to 48 hours and stays on the parts of the plant that were sprayed for 60 days. And it's 60 days now. In the wintertime, it's 90 days when there's frozen precipitation. But now 60 days is wonderful. And so you can spray it on. It is brown when you spray it on, but it dries clear, shiny and clear. So it is one of the best. It also comes in a granular form, but you have to start with the liquid. Spray the plants that they're eating and to really protect them. Then you can also use liquid fence. Liquid fence is a wonderful product. And the best one, though, for rabbit repellency is called the Liquid Fence Dual Action Rabbit Repellent. It's the one right up in the upper right-hand corner. And that has 2 ingredients that in it, of many, but the 2 that really repel especially baby rabbits, because baby rabbits don't have a sense of smell or taste until they become adolescents. They'll eat through every one of the other repellents that are out there. So if you use this, it has cinnamon in it, cinnamon and capsaicin, and that irritates their mouth and then their nose, and they go someplace else. They'll go to your neighbor's house to eat all their plants. But right now, it is so important. Spray those tulips that are going to be coming up. Spray the crocus. Spray, roses that are starting to wake up, and they're not waking up for another 2 weeks, but spray everything. I added this in this slide. This is from another lecture that I gave, but there is actually an armadillo repellent, and we don't have armadillos up here, but even down in Arkansas where my dad lived and where I own his property now, when you're driving, there's always dead armadillos all over the road, and so that changed the joke that about the why did the chicken cross the road? The answer is to prove to the armadillo that it can be done. I know, bad jokes, Jennifer. Stick with horticulture. All right, now this is really important. This is the boxwood leaf miner. Now, boxwood leaf miner is an insect, another alien that is not native to our region. It moved into the area 7 or 8 years ago, and from the East Coast. And it's a little tiny gnat, a little tan-colored gnat that lays an egg. It lays eggs, not an egg. Lays eggs on the underneath sides of the leaves and the above leaf sides, and the larvae hatch, chew their way in, and this happens in the end of May, early June, every year, and then the larvae are in between the two epidermal layers of the leaves, those evergreen parts, and they chew and eat and feed all summer long. All the mesophyll cells out of the middle. And so when people bring samples in, they look like they're winter burned. So they think, oh, what can I do about the winter burn? Well, when you look at it, you can see, when I put it in the microscope, I can see the entry holes and I see a bumpy surface. And when I peel it open, I see the larva. And I showed this the last time. Let me see if it's going to work. Oh, it's going to work. I had it in last week. Okay. Oh, it didn't work. Well, it's going sideways on me. I'm sorry, you guys, but you can still see it. These are the larvae under the microscope on the screen. See them wiggling? And then I'm zooming in to show you the leaf that I peeled the surface off, and you can see the larva in it. Now I'm zooming out to show you what the sample looks like. And see how the leaves look bumpy on the underneath side, and they turn brown or tan colored. That is boxwood leaf miner. And when it first was introduced, when it first came in the area, like 7 years ago, I would get 5 samples a week. Now I get 5 to 10 samples a day. So if you have boxwood, it's really important to spray them with no. Use a drench. I'm sorry. Use a drench. We have the 12-month systemic insecticide that is wonderful, and you measure the height of the shrub by feet, multiply times 3. Usually it's 3 feet. And so 3 times 3 is 9. You make the solution 9 ounces in a gallon of water, and you pour that gallon right down the center of the plant. So it's drenching the soil around the root collar where the trunk goes into the ground. And man, it's absorbed by the plant, stays in for 12 months, and fixes it. Now, if you've got damage like this on your plants, you're going to have to prune that off. It's not going to come back. So you have to prune that one off. Okay, now it also takes care of Boxwood Psyllid. And Boxwood Psyllid is an insect we've been dealing with here ever since I've been practicing horticulture in the upper Midwest, and even when I was in college. And what the psyllid does, and you can see, psyllids are also like a little white gnat. It looks like a gnat, and they overwinter under the bud scales on the stems, and then they're coming out right now, and they're mating and then laying eggs. They'll start, actually it's early, they'll start coming out the end of April, and then they'll mate and then lay eggs on the brand new growth that's coming up from the boxwood. And then the larvae hatch and start sucking the juices. And you can see they're protected by this cottony mess. If you open up those cupped leaves, and it's the damage from the stylus, which is the mouth part of the psyllid, that causes the leaves to cup up. And a lot of people just think that's what boxwoods naturally look like. No, it's not. And if you open up those cupped leaves, you can see this cottony mass, and you can see the larvae that are inside there. And you want to use the 12-month insecticide, and that will take care of this as well. So you're going to get 2 things with one product. Now, another thing that I like to recommend, and I think I have a photo of it. Oh, here's the tree and shrub, and we have 2 different brands. We have it used to be called Bayer Advanced. Ooh, I need to change that photo. It's Bio Advanced now. Bayer sold their consumer products division to a company based out of France. And they've changed the name of the product. It looks the same. You can hardly even tell the logo is different, but it's Bio Advanced is the name. And then Bonide is the other brand that has the same insecticide in it that works very, very effectively. Now, there's also a problem. Oh gosh, okay, I'm going to go to that also problem later. This is the worst insect, and it's an alien insect that has just moved in 5 years ago. And I got to tell you, of all my years in horticulture, this is the worst insect that I have ever seen. And these are the larvae. The photos at the top are the larvae. The larvae are currently in eggs at the very ends of the branches, And you can see on the photo and the bottom left, you can see how there's kind of it's really difficult on this one. I'll show a closer picture, but you can see how the bark was kind of scruffed up from where they laid the eggs. Those eggs hatched, the larvae came out, and they're really small. They're really small, but they can strip a 6-foot viburnum in 3 to 5 days. And it just, they eat the leaves off. A lot of times, all that's left are the veins of the leaf. And then this was a sample that came in. Look how many of these were on this, and they had stripped all the leaves off and were chewing the new growth twig away. It's horrifying. So then what they do is they eat their fill, and then they drop to the ground, and they pupate, and they stay dormant in the ground for 6 to 8 weeks. And then the plant usually will grow new leaves, and unless it's newly planted, if it has a good root system, it will produce new leaves. And then the adults come back out at the end of July, early August, and do the same thing. Now, they don't do as much damage to the leaves. They won't strip the plant, but they'll make the leaves look real holy. And then these are the small insects that lay eggs, and that, to keep the life going, and the life cycle going. So if you use the 12-month insecticide, it is wonderful, because if you've had eggs laid on your viburnum, and they usually like the smooth leaf viburnums, but they have the capacity of going to every viburnum that is growing in our landscapes. So it's usually the first ones they go after are the nannyberry or the viburnum dentatum, that are our most popular shrub for the shade. But if you have used that systemic insecticide, when the larvae hatch, they take one bite of a leaf and they get killed. So it can really control the populations and protect your plants. And now I'm moving into the cicadas. And all right, I got this call from Tracy Butler saying, Jen, people are asking me about cicadas. Can you go on the 11 o'clock news with me next Tuesday to talk about this? So I did the research, and this is the chart of all the different broods. There are 23 different broods of 17-year cicadas. And up here in Illinois, you can see the color of where we're actually in brood 13. The one that's coming out now is brood 10. So in 13, you can see all the brown dots around Chicago. See the big opening in the center? You know why there's nothing there? Farm fields. Farm fields all in northern Illinois, no trees. Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, next photo. This is where the brood X is this year. So you can see there's a major location based in New York and in Pennsylvania, and then in Ohio and Indiana. And then look at this little, and also some down in Kentucky. But look at the little strip there in Illinois. All right. So because the press hears that it's in Illinois, it's all over. Look out, look out, look out. Oh, alarm, alarm, alarm. Okay, this is the only place. See that little area where it says X right there? That's brood 10. It's the only area in Illinois that we're going to see them. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to have summer cicadas. We always have summer cicadas, but not the big, the big masses of emergence. And you can see we're brood 13. So see up at the top part of the state, that's not till 2024. So you don't have to worry about protecting, your plants, at that time. When I take it off the share the screen, I'm going to show you a sample that just came in just this past winter. Well, no, not winter. It was just earlier this, it was last month, of a dead branch of a tree. And this was cicada damage from not 17, it would be 13 years ago. And I'll show you the details when we have the screen bigger. Okay, now here is the next. This is like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, isn't it? I'm going to take a drink of water for this one. Okay, this is a weed that has been taking over our gardens and our lawns for the past probably 5 years. because of the wet springs that we've been having. And this is an alien plant, which means it's not native to here. And this is native to, the Asian countries. And it was brought here in the 1860s as a beautiful plant because of the beautiful, spring ephemeral flowers that come. And then it escaped. Now, it used to be called Ranunculus ficaria. Now the common name is lesser celandine. Don't just call it celandine because it's a beautiful native wildflower called celandine poppy that is also yellow. But this is called lesser celandine. Now, what makes this so awful is it's highly, highly invasive. And it has this wonderful survival mechanism of these tubers, these underground tubers that stay in the soil. And there's another common name for this, it's called fig buttercup, because the tubers, the underground tubers, are shaped like figs. But the problem with this is it can become an impenetrable mass. And the photo down below is showing you that. I need another sip of water, excuse me. Okay. Don't confuse it with marsh marigold, which is Caltha palustris, which is a native wildflower here. Excuse me. That lives in moist soil areas. You can see the difference. There's only 5 petals on the flower of marsh marigold. Marsh marigold does not have any tubers, and it doesn't have any bulbils. The lesser celandine does. And okay, I'm going to move ahead. Let's move ahead. All right, these are the tubers, and if you dig them up, you can help get rid of them. And that helps, but that doesn't get rid of all of them. The bulbils are what make this so awful. You see, these are the bulbils that grow in the crown of the plant. And this is a close-up, the picture down below. What happens is this is also considered an extreme ephemeral. And an ephemeral plant means that we have a lot of wonderful ones. Virginia bluebells, oh, they're phenomenal ephemerals. They come up in the spring, they flower, they finish flowering, and then the foliage dies back and they stay dormant underground until next spring. This does the same thing, but it's called extreme ephemeral. So as soon as it finishes blooming, it just dies back. It just disappears. But those bulbils stay, and you can see they turn into the tubers. So it's just awful. Now, the latest research, Joe Boggs, Dr. Boggs from Ohio State University and the Extension Service, sent this to me, and it's the best. Okay, it is the absolute best. Okay, it has been found from the testing they did that herbicide applications applied to the leaves when they're there will kill them. And if it's in the lawn, you can use any good lawn weed killer, and we have them here. And that we have the Weed Beater Ultra, which will work. It will work when it's cool outside, when it's cold outside. So, today you could use this. The best one though is either the chickweed clover and oxalis, because it has a magic ingredient called triclopyr in it. And so this is the one we usually recommend. And then there's also a crabgrass crabgrass killer. It's called Weed Beater Plus. This could do it, and spraying, and these are in the lawn. All right, and then sedginder also works very well. And this has a chemical called sulfentrazone. This works to get rid of nutsedge as well. So if you have this, use this on it. But the research that I'm going to show you in a minute is just earth-shaking as far as I'm concerned. Now, in a regular, like a garden bed or under trees and shrubs, you need to use a glyphosate-based product like Roundup. And we don't sell Roundup here at Chalet, but there are other companies that have glyphosate as the active ingredient. And this is the most incredible. All right, so research that was conducted at this Wolf Trap National Park in Virginia, and this was in 2017, they focused on using glyphosate. And this is like under a tree like this. You can't use any lawn weed killers over the roots of a tree because it will go into the soil and can damage the tree roots and or other desirable plants that would be in the garden. So they tested using Roundup or glyphosate in the pre-flowering, which is what we're looking at right now in our gardens. That means no flowers on the weeds. They tested early flowering. That's when there are just a few flowers that are popping up. And then 50% flowering. When you look at the patch of the weeds and half of them have flowers on them, you know, that's 50% flowering. So, and they did treatments 2 years in a row. And sometimes you have to do that when you have all those tubers to deal with, because tubers have such a, you know, lot of stored energy in them. Okay, so they found that treating at pre-flowering, they killed 90% of the stand of the weeds. If they waited a little bit longer till, you know, 50% flowering, they killed 95%. Now that is so significant. And people are rushing in now saying, what can I use? What can I use? What can I use? And I'm showing them this saying, wait until they go into flower. So there's that fine line. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till I start seeing a few flowers and then I'm going to hit it. And because if you wait too long, when they go into the extreme ephemeral stage, that means when the leaves are starting to die back, the herbicide application won't work. So significant. Now, when they tried on the pre-flowering stage, they only got 60% control. Is that incredible? I think it's incredible. So wait till you see the flowers and then use the product on it, okay? You'll be able to get rid of them, okay? Now, then we have other early weeds that people are bringing in to show me, and these are like the wild onion, and that's where Chicago gets its name, is all the wild onions that were native, you know, to the region. Chicago means wild onion and wild garlic. So you really can't. You need to use an herbicide to get rid of, you know, to get rid of this as well. If you have mowed your lawn too short and haven't fertilized adequately, there's a good chance you'll see wild onion in your garden. And so the best things to use are the same things you're using for the lesser celandine. You know, any of the products that have 2,4-D, mecaprop, dicamba, or triclopyr, and or sedgender. You know, it's designed, you know, to take care of that. So we've got good tools to help you. We've got really good tools. Okay, and here I just talked about Weed Beater Ultra and chickweed clover and oxalis. And so those are, and these are the active ingredients that, you know, that are in it, that are in those. Okay, and then the Roundup replacements, you know, and then the only one that I recommend using that, you know, that we sell here that could be a Roundup replacement is the Weed Beater iron. And the Fe is the elemental symbol for iron, and it actually burns the tops of the weeds off. So, but it doesn't kill the roots. So, you know, anyway, let's move on. Okay. So now I talked about the pre-emergent. Here's the Scots Builder, the Scots Turf Builder Triple Action, built for seeding. And then the other one is Scots Step 4 for seeding. They redid their packaging. So the step one, not step 4, step 1 for seeding, step 1 for seeding. That covers 5,000 square feet with a phenomenal fertilizer. It's a 21, 24, and I believe 10, you know, phosphorus. And then the Scots Turf Builder Triple Action is for 4,000 square feet. And so, you know, so it's a little less expensive because of that. Excellent nutrient levels and that phenomenal mesotrione that will kill creeping bentgrass. It will prevent nimblewill, and it also kills nutsedge, and it prevents any other weed seeds from germinating, but not grass seed. You can still germinate grass seed. I love this stuff. I just think it's great. I'm using this. I'm using this one that's got step 4 for seeding, step 1 for seeding on my lawn this weekend. Okay, now this is a brand new product from BioAdvanced, and it fertilizes for 3 months. It prevents new broadleaf weeds for up to 6 months. It does prevent new crabgrass and for 6 months. and it kills any large crabgrass that if you apply it later, if you apply it later in the season and you have crabgrass that's already germinated, it will kill it. And then it greens the lawn for 3 months. So those are the 5 things. It says 5 in 1. But this is a cool thing. Our buyer, was excited about trying this in his own lawn. So because I'm using the mesotrione, I'm not going to use this one until the May-June application and see how it works on my lawn. I'll let you know. Now, people are coming in, and as the grass plants are waking up, they're also waking up not just in the lawns, but also in their garden beds, growing up through their ground covers and up through their roses. And it's so hard to pull those, and it's just not productive at all. So Grass Be Gone is the best thing to use. The total best thing to use, because it used to be called over the top. You can spray over the top of broadleaf plants and not kill them, not damage them at all. Now, don't spray them where you have ornamental grasses, because they're grasses, but it will kill any grasses growing up. And I love the active ingredient in this. It's called fluazafop. It's so fun to say, fluazafop. Okay, now, this is, I've started to talk about this earlier, about when you're using your early summer fertilizer. You want to use an organically based fertilizer if you've been having problems with the fungal patch diseases, because if you use an organic based fertilizer, and this is the best one I think we sell that's organically based, because it's juiced, it has a little extra nitrogen in it, and so it's a 15% nitrogen, 0 phosphorus. And so no phosphorus goes into our waters and waterway, and then a 5% potassium. And I love this product, and we're getting it back in today. We were sold out of it over, last weekend we ran out, but we're getting it in today. So we're going to have it today going forward. So just in time, so you can put it down for your end of May, Memorial Day, fertilizer. Okay. Now, cool season plants, you've got to come and see our front patio. Oh my gosh, we've got pansies galore. We have primroses. We have hellebores and cyclamen, and it's just lovely. Our sales yard will not be open until the 19th. We have construction crews out there kind of fixing, broken water pipes and putting all the benches up. So, and then we're waiting to get our woody plants in. And we're having troubles. I won't say troubles. Everyone's having trouble with this COVID situation, because people don't have enough, employers don't have enough staff to get out and dig in the yards, and then the drivers, coming in to bring the things. So we won't be opening the sales yard and the outdoor nursery until the 19th of April, which is a Monday. But come to see our patio. We're putting as much stuff on the patio as we can fit out there. And oh my God, it's just wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. Now, we also have our summer flowering bulbs available. And that's what I was talking about, the tubers of the asparagus and the rhubarb. These are all the tubers that you can plant. Now. Anything that is non-hardy, like dahlias, begonias, caladiums, and cannas, you will start in pots inside to get that head start. You're going to get a month-and-a-half head start by putting them in. And then like the elephant ears, the alocasia and the calicaceas, put them in pots now. Keep them inside so it's room temperature, nice and warm, so the roots can form, and then the shoots will start coming up. Once you see the shoots coming out of the soil, move it into a bright, as sunny location as you have, and then you'll put them outside when the danger of frost has passed. And that's typically May 15th. But that gives you a really good head start. Okay, I'm watching that. Now, plan to protect your plants that are susceptible to fungal problems. So apple scab on crabapple, apple and cotoneaster, black spot on roses, rust on roses, botrytis bud blight on roses and peonies, volutella stem blight on pachysandra and boxwood, powdery mildew on lilacs, monarda, roses, and more. And then the patch diseases on the lawns. So this is where you're going to be. Oh, come on. There's apple scab. And you can see the apple scab on the fruit, on the crab apples, on the edible fruits. and then on the leaves, and you start seeing these, and once you see the lesions or the show up, it's too late. The leaves get inoculated when they're baby leaves just emerging out of the buds, and we're seeing a lot of bud break right now where the buds are just starting to crack open. This is when you really want to spray with either Immunox. I'm going to show you what Immunox or Infuse, and protect them. And the systemic fungicides are great because they stay in even if it rains. Then the other diseases, come on, okay. This is Anthracnose, and we've seen a lot of Anthracnose in the last 5 springs because we had these wet springs. And then we also saw the Anthracnose on the hostas when we're having, excessively wet springs. We're not having that yet, but I always knock on wood, because once I say that, then, the skies open up. But, and then the next one is, this is black spot on roses, and that splashes up from the soil. It's also windborne and lands on the newly developing leaves. So the secret is prevention. So you have to apply while plants are healthy to prevent the fungus from landing on the leaf and inoculating it, germinating when the soil is, when the leaf surface is moist or wet. And then the disease shows up 6 to 8 weeks later. And once it's there, it's too late. So you want to start. Immunox is the best. Infuse is excellent just as well. I like the instructions on the Immunox. They're a little easier to understand. It's usually 1 ounce per gallon to spray on most ornamentals. There are also recommendations for edible fruit, and then also tomatoes, on this. And so we'll read those instructions. It's usually a 1/2 ounce and sprayed on the leaves. And you want to do it before, at least 14 days before you're eating the fruit. And so, I mean, to protect in the spring, you don't have to worry about the fruit at all. It's not, the flowers are just there. And Infuse is also excellent. Same dosage. It's usually 1 ounce per gallon. New sprayer, I mentioned it last week from the Bonide, where you can actually screw the cap and the sprayer portion onto all these different bottles. And so you don't have to pour it into the holding jar. You can just put the draw tube in and go to town. It's really excellent. Okay. There's combo products that I absolutely love for things like boxwood that are getting the stem blight. It's Volutella stem blight. These are excellent. There's Rose RX. That's also going to be changed. The name is going to change later in the season to Rose Shield. And that's the fungicide and the insecticide together. And it's a soil drench. The Bio Advance, there's the logo for Bio Advance and instead of Bayer Advance. And this is my favorite product of all. It's called the All-in-One Rose and Flower Care. And there is also a recommendation for shrubs. I wish they would put that on the label, but anyway. And this has a great fertilizer, 9-14-9, which is enough for a great phosphorus to encourage bloom and flowering on plants. It's wonderful because the shrub recommendation is 1 ounce per foot of plant height in a quart of water. So anytime it's over, 4 quarts, you just always use a gallon. And then you're going to pour that right where the trunk goes into the ground. It's a soil drench, and it lasts for 6 weeks. So you do it April 15, June 1st, and July 15. Now, we're warm enough that I'm actually encouraging people to go ahead and treat now. So that would be April 1st. And then the second treatment would be 6 weeks from now, which would take you to May 15th. And then July 1st. So, these are phenomenal products. I love these. If you want to use earth-friendly fungicides, you want to use the sulfur and copper fungicide. Those are both powders. Those are better as dustings. You can make them into a slurry spray, but you have to keep it agitated the whole time you spray. So I recommend that people go with the liquid copper fungicide, which is copper soap and copper octanoate. we just got the spray bottles, the ready-to-use spray bottles in today. Just as I was walking over, my inventory rep told me, Jen, I just put them all on the shelf. So these are great. It's great for edibles, and you know, but it's not systemic, so you have to reapply when it rains. Okay, and oh, I'm doing great on time. All right, we're still seeing two-spotted spider mites all over the place on indoor plants. So you want to treat with, you know, the insect disease and mite control. And I love this one because you need to take it outside to spray, but when it's warm enough, you just take it outside, spray the plant, let it dry, bring it back in, and it stays in those leaves for 30 days. This takes care of any insects, mites, and also diseases. Okay, new houseplant insect controls. We have the organic base from Espoma, and it's organically grown pyrethrin. And I just heard one of our reps yesterday gave us a product knowledge seminar, and he was calling pyrethrin mum oil. It's the first time I've ever heard it called that. So you might hear that. But anyway, pyrethrin, being a scientist, I like to just use the chemical names. But anyway, but this is, the blue bottle has pyrethrin and canola oil in it. And canola oil is organically grown. And over in Europe, they call that pyrrol. And it's one of the most effective insecticides it is, because it sticks to the insect. And then the pyrethrin just is the knockdown, and it kills them immediately. The garden style, this is sulfur and pyrethrin together. And so it takes care of you know, and diseases and insects also. For Earth Friendly Natural, we got the coir-based seed starting products. So I mentioned those last week. I'm going to mention them again because a lot of people are looking for coir. That's coconut husk based, and people feel it's more renewable. But what's nice about it is these are little refillable pellets that pop up when you water them. Coir is an excellent base because it dries out really completely and oxygenates quickly, and then hydrates really well. It hydrates better than peat moss products do. So it's a neat thing to consider. And then, thank you, here's to spring. What I'm going to do, since I pushed it right to the limit, I'm going to go right to the questions and answers. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Here we go. I'm back. And then let's do the questions and answers. Here we go. She says, there it is. I'm going to move this over here. Okay, Trisha, I plant a lot of milkweed for monarchs. Do I need to avoid putting preen, where those grow? Trisha, that's a great question. If you're starting from seed, then yeah, avoid using preen because it'll prevent it from starting. The way to get around that is plan to start your seeds in pots inside, and then you can set them out in beds that are treated with preen. And as far as I'm concerned, boy, the benefit of treating with preen or corn gluten meal is the organic way to do it. But the benefit of treating with preen to prevent any weeds from germinating is so huge for me that I would just start my seedlings inside and then set them out. Once they've germinated, preen doesn't affect them at all. So the great question. All right, here we go. Let's go to the next one. The next one is from Karen Lustig. If I don't want to seed my lawn, do you recommend I buy Scott's Triple Action without the seeding materials? Well, if you're not worried about seeding your lawn, then you can just use some of the like the Bonide and step one products, or they're not step one. They can only cause them phase one, and that has a different active ingredient as the pre-emergent, but it works very, very well. And so you know, if you're not going to start from seed, don't go to the expense of using the Scots product. It's a little more expensive because of the mesotrione. Great question. Okay, and then but still use a pre-emergent. Always use a pre-emergent. Okay, then okay, I just did that one. Hold on. No, oh goodness. Here we go. There we go. As I say, I learn something new every day. Okay, Carol, do I need to cut grass and rake before putting down the first application of fertilizer? Absolutely not. Get that fertilizer down and don't rake. Don't when the only raking you do is to remove any debris. You do not want to rake out the thatch. That's old school, old school, old school. So don't do that. If you have a thatch buildup that's thicker than a half inch to an inch, then you should core aerate. But it's better to core aerate in the fall than now, because you open up plugs that are a half inch in diameter and 4 inches deep, and then that's a place for weed seeds to get in. So, right now, just get the fertilizer down to get the and usually where you have problems is where people are walking, and walking paths and things like that. So get the fertilizer down first. Great question. Great question. Okay, now this is from Donna Dow. What preventative products can you use close to a veggie garden for the lawn? All of them. You can use all of them, especially this time of year. Yeah, all of them. I'm just gonna say that you're not putting it into the vegetable garden, so don't worry about that. You can use it right up to the edge of the vegetable garden. Works great. Works absolutely great. Good question. I love your questions are so good, everybody. Okay, now this is from Noreen. Oh, hi, Noreen. Please advise the time. Please advise timeline for treatment. Oh, you must have signed in a little late, Noreen. The timeline is, okay, you want to fertilize 4 times a year. So it's Easter or tax day, April 15, Memorial Day, Labor Day, and Halloween. And so this is Easter, so the Easter weekend. So you can go ahead and start now. Great question. Great question. And then we also had earlier, I showed the calendar for lawn control. So I'll make sure that gets onto our website. Okay, for everybody. And here we go. Now, again, Noreen, when do you use liquid fence on roses and Bio-Advanced Rose Food Fertilizer? Okay, Noreen, liquid fence on roses, I'd start doing it as soon as you get them uncovered, which is now, and you just don't want the rabbits to go after them. And then the Bio-Advanced Rose Fertilizer and Food, I would wait until the 15th of April after you've done your pruning on your roses. And roses are flowering shrubs, and all flowering shrubs flower better on new wood than old wood. So if all the rosarians do this, any rose that is not a climber or used as a shrub rose, you want to prune them down. And this includes hybrid teas, floribundas, and grandifloras. You want to prune them down to 8 inches from the ground, and all of the canes or stems, you want to prune all of them off except for 3 that are less than a half inch in diameter. Now, I sometimes can only go down to 5, but rosarians take it down to 3 because they want to push new wood. And when the new wood comes up, you're amazed at how much better flowering is included. So that's the time that I would use the rose and the Bio-Advanced Rose Food and Fertilizer. Okay, next one. Oh my God, is this Noreen? Noreen again. Okay, to treat boxwood, should I use Bio-Advanced Tree and Shrub as the insecticide? And the Bio-Advanced Rose and Flower to feed and fertilize? No, you use one or the other. If you use the 12-month, you do that once and it lasts the whole year, and then you'll fertilize separately with something like Hollytone. But then that doesn't take care of the disease problem. So I would say just go straight to the rose and flower all in one, and you take care of everything in 3 applications in the growing season. It makes it so simple and so effective. So effective. That's what I use on mine. Okay, here we go. Next one, Tricia Kleiderer. Can I still cut back my red twig dogwoods? And how much do I cut back from the top because they are so tall already? Thank you. Okay, yes, you can still do it. It's absolutely fine. This is still considered March in my book, but yes, so you're going to cut them down a third of the height and then a third of the number of stems or canes. So you look now when there's no foliage, you can see maybe you have 12 stems coming up out of the ground. The first ones you want to get rid of are the thickest ones that are all brown. Okay, cut those down as close to the ground as you can, and then come back and take the rest of the height of all those branches down a third. So if they're 6 feet tall, cut 2 feet off of them. Okay, that's follow that rule of three. Excellent question. All right, now Susan. Hi, Susan. Should I spray peonies as they are peeking out now with a fungicide? Absolutely. You can see those vegetative buds they're kind of red colored, emerging out of the soil right now. Yes, spray with the fungicide, spray with Immunox, spray with Infuse. I like the systemics because they really stay in. You can also treat peonies with the Bio Advanced Rose and Flower All-in-One. It works really great. Good questions, good questions. Now, this is Tanya Haskett. My pansies are flat this morning. Is it from wind or frost? Tanya, it is from the cold, and they're laying close to the ground to stay warm. They did that last night, and then as things warm up, pansies are toughies. They're great until the temperatures are down to like 25, and they'll pop right back up. So don't worry about them. They're just hugging the ground because the ground was warmer than the air. All right, they're pretty smart. They're pretty smart. Okay. Next question, Cindy Lebecki. Is there a drench for treating apple trees instead of a spray? Yes, there is. It's also by Bio Advanced, and it's their insecticide control for fruiting trees. I don't think we have it in stock yet, and the recommendation on that is based on radius, not total diameter of the canopy. So you go from the trunk out to the ends of the branches, and then that's how you base your mixture. And then you have to treat it also. No, on that one you treat after it's flowered. Treat after it's flowered. Okay, and then that protects it going forward through the whole growing season. Okay, now, but the thing of it is, you want to spray with a fungicide. So there's not a drench with a fungicide that you can use on edible apples. Okay, you have to spray, and I like to use the Immunox because it's water soluble. But you can also use the orchard spray. No, you can't use the orchard spray until after it finishes flowering. So you can use copper soap and spray it on right now if you want to use Earth Friendly Natural. And in the copper soap, comes in a concentrate. You can put it in a hose and sprayer and take care of it easily. Okay, now this is Tanya again. When can I set out lavender and other herbs? May 15. May 15. Great question. And you want to do it after the average date of the last frost of the spring. Christy Vick. Hi, Christy. What will you be covering next week? I love your classes. Thank you. Oh, okay. Okay. That's great. I've been getting feedback that people want to know what I'm going to be covering. I'll probably repeat the thing about, the lawn care, any new samples that come in. I'm going to show you. Oh, I wanted to show you this sample too. I hope everyone's still on. Okay, see this sample right here? And I'm going to show it up close. See the scar on that branch? That was where the cicadas sliced into the bark to lay the eggs. It would be 13 years ago. And because this is the brood 13. And then, but you can see how the plant regrew the bark, but then here's another scar right there. Unfortunately, this branch probably got riddled all the way up and down. See, there's another scar right there. And so this was a dead branch that someone cut off and to bring into me. Okay, sorry, I had to interrupt that because you had to see that sample. Okay, what we'll be covering next week. Okay, and again, so it's going to depend on what I see and what new products I get in. So I do some repetition so people can hear like the important things, like, you know, because lawn, you know, spring lawn care, it covers usually between April 1st to April 15th. So I'll repeat a little bit of that. And then any new samples I get in, man, you guys get to see it first, unless you're here in person. Okay, then you see it live at the microscope. Okay, good question. Thanks for your compliment too. Okay, and the next one, and this is Rhonda, should I cut back Spirea? Yes, I know one of mine flowers in the spring. I think 2 of them flower spring and fall. All the Spirea flower on new wood. So you cut them back to a mound, usually 18 inches, an 18-inch mound from the ground, and then the new wood comes out and it flowers on new wood. So this is the time to prune Spirea. Okay, and next one, Susan again. Hi. Okay, if I get a pussy willow, will I be able to keep it about 8 feet with annual pruning and still get the buds? Yes, you will. Absolutely, absolutely. So what you want to do, you're going to prune it after the flower buds open, and the pussy willows themselves, that's actually the male pollen. And so after they finish flowering, you have 6 to 8 weeks to prune the shrub before the new growth will form. And so, you know, usually they're finished by, you know, by mid-May. So, you know, so then count 6 weeks out from mid-May, which takes you to July 1st. So you need to get them pruned before July 1st, because after July 1st, they'll grow new wood, and then the new buds for next year will be forming. Okay. All right. And then Rhonda says, thank you. Rhonda Helpman, thank you. This is, here we go. We'll answer this live. Here we go. And it looks like we did it, everybody. There's 2 chats. Let me open the chats. And, oh, okay. The chat box the Q&A wasn't showing on hers. Okay, what is the large beige areas in the lawn that I'm seeing everywhere now? The large areas of dollar spot. Oh, like large areas of dollar spots, and how to treat it. I have a feeling that the large beige areas in your lawn right now are creeping bent grass that grew last summer. We had a huge outbreak of creeping bent grass because it was so hot and so dry. And I have a feeling if you want to take a photo of it and send it to Jennifer B at shaleynursery.com, give me a wide angle and then give me a close-up, and I can tell you whether it's creeping bent grass. And if it is, you would have very good luck using the Scots Step 1 for seeding, because the mesotrione in it will get rid of the creeping bent grass. Okay, also, and this is Mary Joyce. Okay, also, will preen prevent the spread of bishop's weed from the neighbor's yard? No. Nope. The bishop's weed is a perennial weed, and it can grow from underground rhizomes. And so you would need to treat that with, especially if it's in a garden with other plants. You cannot use lawn weed killers. If it's in the lawn, you can use a lawn weed killer and it will kill it. But if it's in like a garden bed, you're going to have to use a non-selective like Roundup, and you just spray the leaves. And the cool thing about that is the glyphosate, which is the active ingredient, is taken in, and it goes down into the roots and kills the roots. So that's the only way you're going to get rid of bishop's weed. So yeah, sorry about that. Okay, I think I've done it. We still have, oh, here's another one from Marion. Marion, hi. Thank you for another great presentation today. I always enjoy this time with you. Thank you so much. You all are you're wonderful. Thank you for staying so loyal to us, even through all this COVID, and I'm seeing the great value of of this virtual. So, even after COVID, we're probably going to continue doing virtual lectures as well as live lectures, and, back up in the Learning Center. So thank you all. Thank you all for staying with us. And here's to spring, and here's to go Cubbies. I hope the Cubbies win today, and come in and see our gorgeous plants on the patio, and then mark your calendar for April 15th, about how our outdoor nursery is going to open back up. So welcome everybody, and thank you so much. Bye now.